Hello, my name is Katie. Welcome to my Fluid Art channel. Today, I want to talk about getting started. Sometimes these recipes and techniques seem so complicated, and they really don't have to be. As you can see, I just did a painting and found out my camera wasn't running. But that's a whole nother issue. What I'm going to be using today are dollar store paints. All of these came from the dollar store except for the yellow and the pink. I couldn't find a yellow or a pink at the dollar store. We're going to do what's called a split cup. Now mind you, you could layer these paints in a cup and pour them out. We're going to do the split cup. Number one, consistency. You want all your paint to be the same consistency. You need to be able to pour it. So it needs to make a nice stream. What I use is called Floetrol. You can get it at Home Depot, you can get it at Lowe's, even some paint stores. What it is a paint conditioner. It's not something you're going to find at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. You'll have to go to the hardware store. But that's what we're going to use. And generally, for every part of paint, we're going to do 2 parts of pouring medium. There are a lot of complicated recipes out there. You're never going to see that on my channel. I love the basics. So, let's fill our... Number one, make sure your canvas is level. You can get a level at the dollar store also. So, very important. This is fluid. It will move after you're done. So you want to make sure your canvas is level. All these other colors, the orange, the purple, the red, the white, all came from the dollar store. I also have a gold that came from the dollar store. It comes in a tube. Dollar store, it's actually $1.25. All right, let's fill our cup. I'm going to start with the yellow right here. I paid about $4.50 for this split cup, and I've used it for a couple years now. I just love it. I have so much fun with it. We're going to be working on a 14 by 14 inch canvas, which requires approximately 7 ounces of paint, or it is 7 ounces of paint. That's to cover. So you'll use more or less depending on the technique you're doing. Let's put the orange in there. I got this color inspiration from Google. I asked Google what 1960s colors were, and they were this hot pink and yellow and orange, and I love those colors. Okay, let's put the red right here in the middle. So we're in it at this point for about, let's see, the Floetrol's approximately $20. It's less in some areas. When I started out, it was $14, but it's $20 now. The dollar store paints, they're $1.25. You don't need to do a 7-chamber cup. I just want to show you that you can get started where you are. You don't need to go out and spend a whole bunch of money to find out it's something you don't like doing. Now, the most important thing when pouring paint, even if you put 2 parts Floetrol to 1 part paint, consistencies will be different. Not only between different brands, but between even different colors. So go 2 parts Floetrol to 1 part paint, and then just use a little bit of water, a tiny bit of water at a time, to get to the consistency you want. I'm going to put this one right here. I'm going to put the white over here at this end. And this is no stress. This is supposed to be about having fun. I discovered it during COVID. I've always painted with a brush on canvas. I saw this on YouTube and I was just fascinated. The science of liquid and how it pours and what it does, the patterns it makes. Okay, I have this on a spinner which cost me about $10. These canvases I got at Michael's. You can get value packs. This here came in a 6-pack, and it's a nice size canvas. It was $14 for 6 of them. As you can see, I had an argument with orange, and orange won. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing this. I find at the beginning of every pour is an experiment. So start with paints that aren't expensive. What we're going to do is what's called a traveling straight pour. We're going to pour it straight down and we're going to travel. I'm going to start right here, and I have water. Why do I have water? All right, no big deal. You can pour up from up higher, you'll get more detail. The lower you go, you'll get more bigger, larger patterns. Use your spinner to get around the canvas. It's much easier than trying to turn this cup. Look at the pretty colors. That pink and orange look really beautiful together. Okay, I'm running into things over here. Get those out of the way. You can just start right where you left off. We're the boss here, not the paint. I'm not out there trying to look to make a whole bunch of money on my art. I want to inspire people to just get started. It's been something that's been very enjoyable for me. Like I said, I started during COVID. I became disabled several years ago and unable to work. Then COVID happened and my husband was home. And you ladies probably know how that went. I was looking for something to do, and this was just, it just fascinated me. Now there's no rules to this. You can go backwards or forwards. And that's probably enough paint for us. Pretty. What you're also going to need is a torch. This is to get your air bubbles out. You want to get your air bubbles out, otherwise it will leave pinholes in your paint. Don't cook the paint, just keep moving the torch. You'll see the bubbles pop. Okay, another thing is a flow extender, which is paint that you're going to put around your pour to make your pour move easier. I'm just going to use the paints that were left. The corner is the farthest from the center, so you want to make sure you get your paint there. So at this point we're in it for what, $20 for Floetrol, $1.25 for a bottle of paint. My spinner was about $10 or $12, and I've been using it forever. You don't have to go out and buy yourself an expensive cake spinner. You might pour a couple times and find out you don't like pouring at all. So why invest all that money? Now these colors, you can put any color you want out here, because it's this paint here is just going to go over the side anyway. Let's see here, what do we got? That's pink right here. And I don't even have an expensive palette knife. I have an offset spatula. It's just for icing cakes. I think I paid $4 for it. You want to spread out your flow extender right up to your pour. Yeah, don't let the stress of the price of paint and how many paints and all these different recipes that a lot of artists have. Just get yourself some paint and try it out. The hardest thing for me to learn, I believe, was the consistency. Consistency is very important. You're going to have different consistencies for different techniques. However, the paints you're using for said whatever technique you're using, your paints need to all be the same consistency. That's very important. Your thinner paints will run quicker than your thicker paints. So that will make a mess. And by the way, this is a very messy art. So make sure you have clothes that you don't mind getting paint on. And I use garbage bags. I cut the garbage bags open and use those as a drop cloth. You can get as crazy as you want. You can go spend a bunch of money for any one of these items. So let's see what kind of results we get. I'm going to give it a little spin just to spread it out. Get it moving a little bit. But you don't need a spinner either. You can tilt. This is beautiful right here. Look at that. The purple with the red and the orange and the gold. I actually still use the dollar store gold in some of my pours. I really like it. So, experiment. The last thing you want to do is spill a cup of paint and worry about how much that costs. So start where you are. Start at the dollar store. Just get started. I'll tell you, I've gotten so much joy out of pouring paint. It's immeasurable, really. I just love it. And this year has been really good for me because I live in Texas, and this has been a very hot summer. I can't even get out in my garden. So I stay in and paint. When tilting, you want to always make sure your paint starts in the middle of your canvas. Then you can go wherever you want. Make the weight of the paint, which is where it's moving the fastest, drive your paint where you want it. So at this point, I think you might be in for $40, $45. That's all the canvases, the pouring medium, the paints. You'll need a couple other things like stir sticks. I would suggest you get those from the hardware store also, because they want to charge you too much at the craft store for them. Anyway, this is beautiful. Let's take it to this corner here. Make sure our paint's in the middle of the canvas. That orange is really pretty, huh? You see the paint moving? We can direct it wherever we want. And go off that corner. Come back to the middle. I'm sorry. Probably out of camera. All right. We've got the paint back in the middle. Let's take it to that corner. Theoretically, you could go out and spend $400 or $500 if you bought everything top line. And even when you do decide you love this art, don't be committed to buying one brand of paint. Different brands of paint create special effects, and why would you be stuck to colors that you don't necessarily buy? Buy a color from this brand, a color from that brand. Buy the colors you like. And forget about recipes and grams of this and grams of that. At the end of the day, all that matters is the consistency of your paint. Get it back to the middle. Okay, I'm going to give it a spin just to see what happens here. Now what I plan on doing over the next few videos is doing different pours with these same paints. I'm going to do a flip cup. I'm going to layer a cup and do a wandering straight pour. A Dutch pour, which is blowing paint with a hairdryer. I'm sure you've seen that if you've watched any fluid art videos on YouTube. Now see how satisfying that is. It's a beautiful piece of art. Look at the colors. Isn't that lovely? Now, I don't know that this painting is going to survive 100 years, but is that what we're trying to do? No, we're trying to have fun. Well, I can't say they won't. I don't know. You know, for $40, $50, you can buy yourself 4, 5, 6 bottles of paint, your gallon of Floetrol. Water is free. You don't need to get a big fancy torch. Get a small one. You can get them for $5 at a smoke shop, or even like your corner 7-Eleven or somewhere like that. And that's all you need. Another important thing is when you are finished with your painting, you want to scrape the bottom edges. Those drips will pull your composition down. It'll continue to pull paint down from the top of your canvas. So get those drips, touch up your corners, because paint doesn't make a 90-degree turn, so you have to touch up the corners. Just use your finger. I find my finger is the best thing for scraping the bottom of my canvas. Don't be afraid of getting a little messy, because you're definitely going to get messy. Let me take my gloves off. Now I'm going to try to grab the camera and bring you in for a closer look. But I've had issues. I've had this camera cut off a bunch of times. So if it does cut off, I want to thank you ahead of time for being here. And if you enjoyed this video or found it informative at all, please give me a thumbs up and go ahead and subscribe. Subscribing doesn't cost anything. And like I said, over the next few videos, I'm going to show different types of pours with dollar store paint. I'm going to go back to the dollar store and see if I can find some other colors too. Let me give this a torch one more time. You'll see there's still air bubbles. Keep moving your torch. Don't stay in one place. And there you go. It's beautiful. It's going to be really pretty when it dries. The gold doesn't show up real great right now, but it will. And that orange is beautiful. The red and the purple. We kind of lost the yellow. I think it's like socks. I think you, like socks, you put them in the dryer. You know you had pairs. But for some reason, the dryer eats a pair of socks. You'll find that happens. But over time, you'll learn. Let me grab the camera and bring you down for a closer look. Excuse the noise. Put that on one time. There you go. Look how beautiful this area here is. Let me get those lights out of the way. Sorry about that. Yeah, pretty. All these fine lines. Very, very pretty. So go grab you some dollar store paints and give this a try. Hopefully you get addicted just like I did and you won't be able to help yourself. Thank you for visiting. Give me a thumbs up. Bye.